Hey guys, Game Delim here, and I want to take a few minutes to talk about Yorick, the Gravedigger. Now he's a really fun champ in League and very underused. Why is this? If you're one of the few that actually spent the 4800 IP to buy this beast, I salute you. He is a very fun champ and an amazing laner. For those of you who are skeptic, or just really haven't heard too much about him, I'll give you a summary of what he's like, as well as show you my very first PvP in a normal game with him. So, let's start with the lore. Yorick was obviously a gravedigger. He dug graves to make a living for his family using a shovel that was passed down from his ancestors. Gravedigging is what men did in his family. When Yorick died, however, he did not have an heir to pass down the tradition. When he arrived in the Shadow Isles, he learned that he could bury his quota to leave the Shadow Isles peacefully. He continued to do that for a large number of years, until he got tired of digging. He then headed back to Valorian, which is where he lived, to find his corpse, hoping that salvation would be with it. He discovered that everything was lost. His house, the cemetery, everything. His anger and determination to spread his family name and to keep the legacy going made him join the League. Now that's obviously a quick summary of the lore, and you can read up more on his champion profile. Now I'm going to move on to the main part of any champion, which is the skills. So let's start off with his passive, Unholy Covenant. Yorick takes 5% reduced damage, and his basic attacks deal 5% more damage for each summon that is active. Meanwhile, Yorick's ghouls have 35% of Yorick's attack damage and health. Now that might not seem a lot when you have a couple ghouls out at a time, but when you have your ult active, along with Q, W, and E, it's a huge difference in gameplay. Now for his Q ability, Omen of War. When active, it makes your next basic attack deal bonus damage, make you move faster, and it also summons a white-looking ghoul. This ghoul is also referred to as the damage ghoul, seeing that it does the most damage and is the fastest out of all ghouls. Now for his W ability, Omen of Pestilence. When cast, this is a ranged AoE that slows the target. It also summons another ghoul to do damage and slow the target more. This takes ability power, however. Now to move on to his E ability, Omen of Famine. Now this is the most important spell on Yorick, seeing when he casts this on an enemy, he steals health from them. Also summoning a ravenous ghoul that steals health for him as well, keeping him in the lane a lot longer. Now last but not least, his ultimate R ability, Omen of Death. This ability can be cast on Yorick himself or one of his allies. Whoever it's cast on, it makes a copy of that champion and deals the normal basic attack damage that it would. One thing to remember is that the copy counts as a ghoul for Yorick and his passive. When the champion with Omen of Death cast on them dies, the copy sacrifices himself to bring the champion back to life for 10 seconds. That way they can use all of their abilities again, making it very useful in team fights. Now I'm going to talk about some pros and cons with Yorick. First off, he's an amazing farmer and pusher. At the beginning of the game you can see me push all the way to the tower and even do some damage as well. He also has some of the best top lane sustain in the game. Again, when I was first up at the top lane, you could see my health rise every time it lowered. His ultimate can change the outcome of any team fight, seeing that if you cast his ultimate on the ADC and the ADC dies, he comes back and just blows away the team. He's a great 1v1 champ, as you can see right here. He can be built pretty tanky with just a couple items, although I didn't do it in this video, seeing that it was my first time. He's an amazing harasser, and his passive can make him super tanky in team fights as well. Moving on to some cons, his mana is terrible. He can be mana starved if you don't build a tier or a mana immune. He has really no escape abilities, although W does slow, it's not the best for that, it's more for pursuing. Also, his W ghoul scales with AP, which is basically only used for slower bush checking anyway. His Q is great, but only gives him move speed when you hit something, not when you cast it. Also, his ultimate needs to be used wisely, it is way too easy to waste. As you can see, Yorick has some good pros and also some cons like any other champion. If you get to know him, he's a very good champion to play, especially top lane. The biggest thing is patience with him as well. If you play him correctly and go slow with him, you'll learn that he's just a much better champion that way. And by the way, don't think you're going to get first blood with him too often. He is not a bursty champion until very late game. Now the reason I picked Yorick in the first place to play was out of curiosity. I mean, I usually played ADC bot, with Twitch, or I'd support with Janna. I might go top with Aatrox or something like that. But I was getting bored of those kind of champions, and I just took a look through the store, and I seen Yorick, and he just kind of popped out at me. I don't know why I never really realized him before, but as soon as I bought him and tried him out, I knew I was going to like him. Now, the idea of an angry gravedigger running around, killing things, trying to avenge his family name is just awesome. And I mean, not even death can stop him. How cool is that? Now let's get back to this game. Now this is my very first game PvP with him. I've had previous bot games just to see what his abilities were like. If you look back at the beginning of the video, you can see me fight Garen where I'm winning, and then all of a sudden Garen takes me down to almost nothing. I flash away and I turn around and cast my E, which heals me, giving me enough health to take down Garen and push the lane. Obviously that gave me a kind of a fluky start. Now it shows how useful the E ability is. Later on in the game, you see me fight Garen and take him down inside the tower, and Evelyn comes up to try to kill me. Now, I don't know what happened there. She really should have killed me, but I cast my ult, and I guess it made my health bar look bigger or something in her eyes, but she ran away. But that E ability brought me right up to almost full again. I ran back in the bush, and later on, she came in, and when she came in, that's when I slowed her down and hit her with my E and Q, and that killed her pretty fast as well. Now, the cooldowns are not extremely long, but they're not extremely short either. They're just a perfect amount to sustain top and just keep pushing. As you can see here, I'm pushing, hitting the tower. Minions come. I have to retreat, of course, because Garen starts coming up top. And I know Evelyn is missing. Now, the ability I start out with when I'm level 1 is the E ability. Moving on to the W, so I have the slow, then the E again, so it has more potential for heal. At 4th level, that's when I grab the Q. From there on, max E, max W, then max Q. But that's just me. You can do it any way you want, because either way is going to be good. Now if you look on the map, you can see Garen hiding behind there, as well as Evelyn coming up. I've placed a vision ward there and seen Evelyn coming, so I just ran. As Garen retreats here, I went to go chase Evelyn, see what I can find. And this is one of the best kills, I think, in the game. I see Vayne pop in, boom, hit her with the E, slow her with the W, and kill her with the W as well. Right there, I take on Evelyn, take her down to about half health as my team comes up to help. I mean, again, my team was fantastic. Yeah, Volibear throwing in there, and boom, I got the kill. Sivir should have got the kill, but that's okay. So now me and Sivir are just going to hit red a bit, and she leaves, so I just decide to take her right at the end there. Now, as soon as I grab red, I go to top just so I can push and finish my lane so I can get into some more exciting team fights. You can notice my mana too, and I mean, that just goes to show how starved he can be, so you gotta be careful with that. Don't cast your abilities on minions no lower than 5th level. You need your tier to be able to do that. If you don't push too much. And you'll notice at the first that I kind of wasted too. I shouldn't have really casted. You can cast your E ability on the minions. It heals you, but only heals you for half the amount. So it's best to cast it on champions. So as I go back here and buy some items, you can see my team getting lots of kills and pushing pretty hard too. Now I'm just going to speed up the video here so I can get to a team fight where I actually use the ultimate to kill 4 of the 5 champions in here. As you can see, I push a little bit. And there's just a few more fights here, and I mean, it was pretty good, and Nivea did really good too, using that wall. You'll see how that worked too. So we go here, and this is it. So I'm sitting here trying to get red, and the whole team just comes down and starts pounding on me. Volibear, thankfully, came up and started tanking. I started hitting them. I knew they were trying to go for me, so I ran. As you can see, Evelyn and Kennen chasing me. So I just went in, falls in, go in. I know I'm going to die. I cast my ult so I can do more damage and be more tanky, and that makes me come back to life. I grab Kennen for the kill, sit there and hit them. I knew I was going to die, but I was already dead anyway. My team comes up, grabs them all. As you can see that, boom, boom. And last but not least, Garen. And that's 4 out of the 5 champions gone in. Thanks to that ult, it kept them in that area, and that's why it's so useful. Now, unused champions such as Yorick, Skarner, and many others are because of the patience it takes to get them actually up to par. Now, as we near the end of the video, I want to give you guys a big thanks for watching. I'll be doing some DayZ videos as I just bought the game and haven't really played the game too much. Also, I've been playing some Payday 2, and I'll be showing how I 100% stealth a bank heist. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more, just subscribe. Again, thanks a lot everyone, and leave a comment if you have any other information or to add any feedback. Game to Lame, out.